Oh, hey there. I wanted to share part 2 of my health and nutrition video on mindset because for me, I feel like this is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle when it comes to successful weight loss and healthy eating. I really believe that getting your mind in the right place can make all the difference. And if you've been someone that goes on and off diets or can't seem to get yourself to start either losing weight or just eating better, like a healthier relationship with food, this section is a good place to start. If you find it helpful, feel free to check out the full video. I'll have the link in the description below. Enjoy. Part 2, the mind. Look, we chatted a bit about the kinds of foods we should or could be eating, but why can't you eat better, or why do so many people struggle to lose weight and keep it off? There's a lot of reasons, but this has to do with your relationship with food and your attitude to dieting. I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 80s and my parents made me feel guilty about starving kids in Africa. I was taught to finish everything on my plate for multiple reasons. And like a human garbage disposal, I would finish my food on my wife's plate or my kids' plate sometimes, and I was okay with my kids listening to their bodies. Like, why couldn't I do the same? Also, in Eat Like the Animals, they said that there's this weird thing we do called completion compulsion, which we eat because we don't want to waste food, or just out of being polite when we're out with friends and family. Suffice it to say, my relationship with food wasn't great. I had to give myself permission to be okay with not finishing my food. I think I was like 211 pounds when I finally decided I needed a change. Now, I did this video where I fasted for 5 days, and I realized that was kind of stupid to lose weight that way because I hadn't taught myself anything about what it actually takes to lose weight. Now, I laid out 7 things that I would do to get fitter, and I did my best to lose some weight that had accumulated over the last few years, but also reshape my body through exercise, specifically heavy lifting. I mention this because you hear so many people wanting to lose weight just immediately jump to going on a diet. Their attitude about dieting is that they will go on this thing, and this thing will work, and everything will be fine after that. Max Lucavare said in his book, getting the results you want, whether it's a stronger body or a sharper brain or a healthier relationship with food, usually requires a change in behavior. But most people jump into action without changing the core beliefs which have led to the unwanted behaviors in the first place. Most people vow to change their behavior, joining a gym or that new diet, but tend to have only short-term success. For important behavioral changes to be sustained, what must precede action is a change in your core beliefs. Rather than trying to eat healthier, focus on the core belief that you deserve to feel extraordinary and that doing so is easy and attainable. Switch your belief, check your language, be mindful of the present moment, and results will follow. Your actions flow from your identity. If you see yourself as someone who eats well and takes care of their body, the choices become clearer and most of the time, a little easier. I probably should have started my video talking about the mind and your relationship with food, but nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to give it the attention it deserves. They kind of just want to jump into a diet. Dr. Julie Smith in Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before says something similar about identity in chapters 33 on values and 34 on goals. Values are such a critical step to fully embrace the kind of person you want to be, and setting goals that aren't just outcome-based will help us stay on track down the line. She even uses running a marathon, a fitness activity, to illustrate this. Your goal is to run a marathon, but what happens when you finally do? Do you hang up your shoes? Same goes for dieting. You lost the weight on some crash diet or by suffering, but what have you done to change who you are? That's why fasting for 5 days for me was silly. And this is where your values and the kind of person you are or want to be become important. She says, quote, over time, once those new ways of thinking and behaving establish themselves, your belief about yourself can begin to shift too. So you genuinely become someone who prioritizes health and fitness, not by the initial goal of running a marathon, but by persisting with a new lifestyle. Exercise becomes something you do because you identify with it, not because there's a goal to reach. Look, for me, the past year and a half, I've gotten sick, taking me out of commission for like a week or two, and I had to stop going to the gym. And like recently I pulled my shoulder because I was trying to bulk, and somehow I have to take like a really much longer break than I wanted to. But you know what? I'm not worried. I know I will go back because I am a person that goes to the gym. I understand the importance of exercise. And let me be clear, this isn't about going to the gym, because I know there's someone out there going, I hate the gym. It's about being the kind of person that stays active. Go for walks, dance, find an activity you can do and make it part of who you are. Regarding the relationship with food, her book talks in general about dealing with stress. She talks about the power of understanding your emotions and the power of words. Remember, check your language. Having a greater vocabulary to express yourself can have power. The more specific you are about what you're feeling, the easier it is to manage. Instead of saying like, oh, I'm stressed, you might say, I feel overwhelmed because I have too many things on my plate today. And once you name it, you can do something about it that isn't food. Journaling can help, or even distracting yourself to reroute that thought of hunger to something else. I remember someone telling me to really ask myself, am I hungry or am I just bored? And let's also talk about our relationship with our body. Now, reading My Body Is Not an Apology was just great. It's sort of like, it has anti-diet vibes, and I highly recommend listening to it because the author is such a force in your ear. But remember, you only have one life, one body, and you don't have to apologize for existing in it. Brian Wansink, in his book Mindless Eating, stated that we are products of our environment. We mindlessly eat because we are presented with so many opportunities to eat. Most of us don't actually know how much we eat in a day. We might notice if we overeat by a lot, like a huge holiday dinner, but small amounts, they kind of like fly under the radar. The cream in your coffee every day, or grazing and snacking on Halloween candies between meals. He stated in his book that we as humans think about food 20,000 times a day. And I could not fathom what he was talking about. It seemed so absurd. But if you actually sit and think about it, all those food commercials you see on TV, radio, podcasts, YouTube, and then if you think about all the billboards you see out on the street, people wearing Coca-Cola t-shirts, coworkers bringing cupcakes, people eating on TV or in the movies. I think Brad Pitt's character in Ocean's 11 is like eating in every single scene he's in. Then think about how your brain can think about food even when we don't realize it. The smells and senses and sensations in our body, stomachs growling or feeling bloated, and when you're tired, your hunger hormone ghrelin goes up, and so on. This book talks a lot about his research where you build habits by adapting your environment, like not having snack foods in your home or as easily accessible. Now, I don't personally advocate that, but you know you better than I know you. And he says, think about using smaller plates so your food looks more plentiful as it fills the plate, or putting low-calorie food items on the table, but the highly calorie items in the kitchen when you serve dinner. Little things like that. Again, I'm not advocating to gamify your eating experience, but these tips might help have you think about how you think about food and how you set yourself up for success. And they have to be practical, because I really roll my eyes when people say like, oh, you want to eat that sandwich? Then you have to eat the protein first and then the vegetables, and then you want to have the carbs like the bread. I'm like, it's a sandwich, lady. I'm just going to take a bite of the sandwich. Back to mindset. If you want to lose weight and keep it off, you don't just need a new diet. You need a new way of thinking about food, habits, and your own identity. I know it's a lot. And of course, this can be done together as you maintain or lose weight. I really like Julie Smith's book as an intro to psychology for life, but Shahroo Azadi's The Last Diet uses mental maps and has you asking a lot of questions to discover your relationship with food. Dr. Yoni Friedhaus has his 21-day program, and Judd Bruson also has a 21-day program working on behaviors and habits. I also found Dr. Katrina Ubell's book helpful in how it was structured, and even the intuitive eating books talk a lot about listening to your body and working through or listening to your hunger cues. I'm saying this is all out there for you to discover. This isn't about restriction or punishment. It's about building a life where healthy choices feel natural. And once they do, you won't need to think about it as much. You'll just be that person. He doesn't have a book, but Layne Norton on YouTube summarizes it nicely by saying, quote, think about the person you want to become. You're not going to be able to become a new person by dragging all your old habits and behaviors behind you like an anchor. You have to cut them free.